Good evening, folks, and welcome to Ridgecrest Talk. This is the Thursday night edition. I'm Al Huey, along with my partner,
Robert
Eierman. And tonight we have a special guest. We have Lori Acton, City Councilwoman Lori Acton, and we're honored to have you here with us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And
Thank you for coming.
We're going to be talking to Lori about an issue that's been talked about for quite a bit the last week or two.
Yeah.
About her employment with Pertexa. It's one of the companies that the city decided to fund with TAB money. And so we're going to be having some pretty darn pointed questions, which you've agreed to answer, which I give Ms. Acton a lot of credit for coming down here and putting herself in front of you and us and answering these questions. And you were going to say?
I was just going to say that actually she's employed by TOS and works at Fenestra, who is an associate of Pertexa.
Right.
Just want to make sure that everybody understands that.
Right. So I think everybody's aware of the letter that the city attorney put out last Friday.
Yes.
That was the 7th.
Yes.
We actually broke that story last Friday on the news here at KZGN. And he laid out some of the particulars. It was a 4-page letter. If you haven't seen it, it's easy to get. It's out there. And we're going to talk about that letter. We're going to talk about a lot of the innuendos, suspicions that are going around in the community, on the blogs, even some comments that were made in the paper that we don't believe, according to what you have told us, to be 100% accurate.
Correct.
So, Robert, why don't you lead off with the first question? So we don't have a lot of time, as you know, here on our program.
It goes quickly. And one of the things that we had mentioned to you, Lori, that we were going to comment on, and for the viewing audience, I think everybody knows that we're not political allies. We tend to find ourselves on opposite sides of many issues. But this, in my opinion, is not a political issue. This is an issue that needs to be resolved so that the community can move forward without them hampering. But just want to let all you know.
As usual here on our show on Thursday nights, we're hard on the issues, but
soft on the people.
And we will be that way with you.
Well, thank you. And I'm really glad to be here because I want to answer the questions because it's important. The public needs to know. They have questions. I want to answer it. I'm transparent. I feel like I should be see-through at that point, you know? But yeah, no, I have no problem answering the questions. So thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome.
We're pleased to do that. So let's just start off because we've got a long list of questions that were generated by ourselves and members of the community. And so the first question is, were you ever employed by TOS prior to October 2014?
Yes.
Okay. And we don't need to get into the particulars of that, but the answer is yes.
How many employees are employed through TOS and working at Fenestra or Pertexa?
2 with Fenestra, and there are 3 coming on with Pertexa as we speak. And then we have some more in the wings. I had to think about that for a second. I'm counting computers. We have 6 stations set up. 2 with Fenestra, 1, 2, and 3 with Pertexa.
Now,
all working through TOS.
Oh, everybody goes through TOS.
Right.
And were some of those employed about the same time as you got employment?
Yes.
Okay.
We've all been there about the same length of time.
Okay.
It just so happens that, some have other talents than others. So it's exciting, and it's an exciting time for the company because they're trying to grow and launch and do all these things. So
okay.
I'm excited for them.
You want me to continue, or you want to take
No, I'll jump in here.
All right.
What is your job title with Fenestra? What were the requirements for the job?
Okay. I do not have a title, and nobody does at the center because we all just work together to get the job done. That's what we're about, getting it done, working as a team. As far as the requirements, I'm Disney certified for customer service. So that's a huge thing when you're running a support center. The
Yeah.
other thing is that I ran a support center in the state of Washington, and I also was a divisional director of operations. I had 14 stores underneath me. So I have quite a bit of experience with running large corporate structured offices, businesses. It's just what I've always done. So I'm very used to it, and I did have the skill set that they needed.
Okay. Why did Fenestra or TOS consider you to be the best candidate for the software services job out of all those in Ridgecrest looking for a job? And part two, do you have a college degree or any special software certification?
I don't have a college degree in it, no. As far as the software goes, because I have worked in call centers before, I am very familiar with all of those type of CRMs. So I know how to do them. Jade, Sugar, there's hundreds of them out there. We're actually using Vonage for the queue lines. We're going to use Sugar CRM. We also have a payment management system, which I'm also familiar with, because you have to know how to run those, and I do. So that was what I'm assuming. I mean, if you want to know more about why I got the job, you'd have to ask them.
Right. But you had those qualifications that they were seeking.
Yes, I did.
That was pretty much all Greek to me. How about to you?
No, I think I understand.
No, I
In
understand
essence,
what you-
she's saying,
I was meaning I have no familiarity with those systems. So clearly you have a specialty.
I do.
right, right. All right, well, we're just about to go to break here in a little bit. How much time?
1 minute.
1 minute.
I'll talk fast.
I don't think we have enough time for another question other than maybe a quickie. Oh, this one. I'll skip down and then you can back up, Robert.
Okay.
Will you be recusing yourself from voting on any more agenda items in the future regarding Protexa?
Of course.
Okay.
Pretty simple, straightforward, easy.
Right, it's either a yes or a no. So. All right, again, this is part one of a two-part interview. And you need to tune in tomorrow night, same time, same channel, for part two. We'll be recording it tonight, but it'll air tomorrow.
So we will continue after the break with some more questions, and hopefully we can delve even deeper into this and help resolve the concerns that people have in the community.
So don't go away. And call your friends. Tell them to tune in.
And welcome back to the Thursday evening edition of Ridgecrest Talk. I'm Robert Eierman, along with Al Huey, and our special guest this evening is Councilwoman Lori Acton. We've been talking with her about the conflict of interest concerns that have arisen over Lori's employment through TOS at Fenestra. So we'll continue with that discussion.
Okay.
Do you, as a member of this council or private citizens, did you, as a member of the council or private citizen, ever meet in person with Protexa or by phone prior, during, or after the vote to award TAP funds?
And I might interject there, or emails back and forth. It doesn't say that.
Okay, we're talking about, I want to make sure I'm clear on the question. We all met with all of the groups because we were making a decision on funding, so we had to know what each of them brought to the table. Is that the question you're asking me?
That's the way the question is.
Yeah,
But
that's
the
we
way the
can
question-
clarify it even
And-
more.
Right, go ahead.
That sure you met with them.
Yeah.
Probably all the council members met with those companies, wanting to
did.
know and find out more about them before they consider voting to give them TAP money.
Yes, we did.
But
Usually in pairs. But
Let's get more specific. What I think this question is trying to ask: did you have any discussions, any emails, any phone calls with Protexa, Fenestra, TOS concerning employment?
no, I'm sorry, no.
It's okay.
Well,
how does your employer feel about not being able to enter into any more contracts with the city because you are indirectly working for them?
Part of me says you're going to have to ask him that question.
Certainly.
But in the scheme of things, in the greater scheme of things, I don't think any of the companies that have been awarded funds would apply again. And if they did, I don't think the city council as a whole should award it to the same companies, because we're trying to diversify and bring economic balance to the valley. You know, not just have everything be base related or contractor related through the base. So I don't think it would be a good idea in that way. But I don't know if I'm answering your question the way.
In my opinion, you are. Yes.
We don't know why Protexta or Fernista or even TOS approached you for this job, and I don't know that we would ever be able to find that out, to be quite honest, unless one of those entities would be willing to tell us. Something that was posed to us today that I really found quite interesting is, okay, they put out to TOS that they're looking for employees, and you kind of fit, or anybody else fits the bill of what they're looking for, and you show up and they're going, oh my goodness, this is a city council person. What damage would we do to ourselves if we don't hire them?
Oh my goodness, I don't even think that entered the picture.
Yeah.
I mean,
somebody posed it to us today is
Yeah,
something we had never thought of either. It's
Right.
like,
I don't think that entered anybody's brain, but I can't speak. I'm
and
not
you
in anybody
can't answer
else's
that.
head.
The only one that could answer that would be one of those entities. But it's an interesting question.
And what brought it
Sure.
up, you see, I was discussing with somebody, why would somebody that was working to get nearly $1 million endanger anything by doing anything, any skullduggery, because they are perfectly aware that there is a conflict of interest clause in their agreement, and if that gets violated, the whole agreement goes away. So it would be very dangerous. And the response that I got, which amazed me, because same way you are, is, well, look at it from the other way. If a city council member applies for a job, if I don't hire them, am I poisoning the well? Because when we have to go back to meet certain gates, certain criteria, certain accomplishments, well, I might be.
It's just something that
Yeah.
neither of
But
us had
the
thought of.
but the contract that they signed, when they meet the milestones, that was approved in the very first time. There is no more contracts or approvals needed, because
Okay.
it was approved in the first one.
Yeah, but they have certain
And if
steps
they-
on a ladder that they have to meet to get. They only got so much of that 875.
Right.
And then they meet this, and then they get more. and they
But
meet
that's
this.
in the contract. That
Right,
has
right.
nothing
I
to
think what
do
she's
now. It
saying
doesn't
is
go before
It's
council anymore.
automatic.
Yeah,
It
right,
doesn't
right.
go before council.
That's
That's right.
before staff.
Well, good, because that throws that concern out, and then we're left with the point that I made, and that's that they would be foolish to hire a particular person and endanger that much money.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to do that.
No.
It's my opinion.
Well, and he's a very smart man. I mean, he does
Yes.
have his MBA, and he's brilliant. I just don't see him doing that. I know that he spoke with his attorney. I do know that.
Okay.
So I feel that we covered all the bases. Again, I don't know what else to say.
That's good enough.
All right, we're going to go to this next question, but if we don't have enough time, because we're running out of time on this segment, we'll pick it up when we come back.
Okay.
Mr. Lemieux's report stated, great caution should therefore be taken before making a decision to seek employment with any of the vendors.
Uh-huh.
Because Mr. Lemieux stated concern within his report, question 1, are you considering resigning from the council?
No.
Question 2, have you considered resigning from your current job with Fenestra through TOS?
No.
Wow, that went quicker than I thought.
I feel like I'm on the stand. And because I know that I did nothing wrong. They know that nothing has been done wrong. I don't feel that that should even be a question. because that calls into question my integrity. And no, I'm not going anywhere.
Right, right. You've stated since this evolved a week or two ago that you did nothing wrong, and the attorney's letter on the 7th, in essence, backs that up, that you did nothing wrong. Now, does it kind of look like there was something wrong done here? That's up to the perception of people that, we're trying to prove a little bit with more facts.
Correct.
And you can't change people's mind all the time. If they have an opinion of something, which I'm sure you've witnessed at the council there on political issues, you're not going to change up people's mind too often. But anyway, we've got to take a break. We'll be back with the final segment of part 1 of our interview with Lori Acton. Don't go away. Welcome back to Ridgecrest Talk, Thursday night edition. Robert Eierman and myself, Al Huey. And again, we're talking with Councilwoman Lori Acton about the employment that she recently got through TOS to work for Nestra, which is a subsidiary of Protexa, which the council voted on to provide TAB funds to. It's a startup business here locally. And so there's a lot of concern over this issue in the community of the possibility of a conflict of interest.
I need to correct something.
Okay.
Fenestra is not a startup business. They've been in business for 7 years.
No, I mean startup here. Well, they've been here for 7 years?
They have been in business for 7 years, and Kishore has been in this town for, I believe, at least 7.
Okay.
People think he's new. My son and his daughter are graduating this year. But they have been in town a while. People don't seem to realize that.
Okay.
So I want to
Yeah,
quell
I
that
didn't.
because
Yeah.
people seem to think, oh, some outsider came in and wants money, and that's not the case.
Okay.
So he's
Okay.
very much a member of the community and has been. So I just want to clarify that.
Oh,
Thank you very much for doing that.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Well, we're going to move on with our questions. Again, this is part 1 of a 2-part interview. We're later going to talk more about Protexa, find out some of the things that Lori's been involved with since she came on board there, or for Nestra. Robert, you want to pick up where I left off?
Sure. Why did you contact City Attorney Lemieux's office on July 7th, 2014, just 5 days after you voted for Protexa to be awarded $875K in TAB funds, inquiring if future employment would be okay with Protexa or any of the other vendors?
Because somebody asked me, and I did not know the answer. And as a councilwoman, I need to know that answer, because I had no idea. My thought was, is it a conflict of interest? Is it not? I understood the basics of if you ask prior. You can't do that or anything like that. But later on down the road, if they're hiring and you apply, is it a problem? Am I violating anything? So that's why I asked. I needed to know the answer, because I didn't.
And although you were on the council, you have, I heard, been unemployed since you left Supervisor McQuiston's office. Is that-
Correct. And so
okay.
I've been seeking employment for 2 years. A little hard here when you're not an engineer. So it makes it a little challenging. But
And something that we haven't talked about yet, but I think we ought to define seeking
Sure.
as it pertains to the law
Yeah,
that the attorney talked about.
okay.
And there's been some confusion about that because of the way Mr. Lemieux's opinion was written. And there is, I'm looking for work, and then there's the legal term about seeking work. And it seems to be, I'm not sure I understand it completely, but that seeking is when you are in negotiations.
Oh, okay.
Well,
That's what
that's
I-
one definition of it.
Yes, okay. And most of these conflict situations occur relative to when you're negotiating, and there's been contact. Most of us think of seeking, it's just another word for looking. Of course, you were looking for employment. You've been looking for employment for a long time. So it gets a little confusing. The way that it got phrased in Mr. Lemieux's letter was, and probably won't be able to find it real quick here. Here it is. Section 87100 is not violated as long as the official's decision to seek employment is made after the agency discussed and voted on the matter. And
that makes things look as though that had been violated.
Right.
When you contacted him in July and you guys didn't vote until August 6th. No, you voted again after the staff had worked out all the particulars.
Oh, that yes,
right.
The
then
contract
that's when
part.
it was
they were
finally
already approved.
Right.
But the contract details need to be finalized.
That's
Right.
why I'm saying the definition of seeking. Sure, you were looking for a job. She was looking for a job. Did she actually sit down and talk with anybody about a job at any of these vendors? No, not until October.
Right, and so that's where I know that a lot of the community's confusion comes from, because of the way he phrased it. Because if you look at and that's like a synopsis statement, but if you look at that section of the law, that part's not in there. So he was synopsizing his conclusion or his decision that there was no conflict of interest, and it just got a little confusing.
And it didn't help with an article that was printed today that in that article it states that you did not, or that you first contacted TOS in October.
No.
That's not true. With the first question we asked you tonight, you said, no, you'd worked for TOS before and had paperwork on file with them and SAS and
Fleet and Family Support,
Fleet
EDD.
and Family Support. So you've been
USA
looking
Jobs.
for work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So seeking, it depends on how you're going to define seeking. Yeah, she was looking for work. Did she sit down and talk to them before she voted? Yeah, she did, but not about a job.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah, we should make that clear. So,
Yeah.
because there's all kinds of misunderstandings from what we have learned out in the public about all this stuff, and so we were just trying to clear it up as, quote, defenders of the truth, like we like to be. And so it seemed to us that there just was a lot of misunderstanding.
And we were trying to get confirmation today, but unfortunately that wasn't able to happen today. But when we get confirmation, we'll follow up on it, and next week maybe to show that what you're stating is confirmed through SAS and TOS, and if we can get the
Fleet and Family Support.
Fleet and Family Support. So anyway, that's it. Oh yeah, tomorrow we'll be back with part 2.
That's right. Boy, it
went so fast.
I didn't realize we were at the end of this week.
Good night, folks.
Good
Join
night.
us tomorrow.